Welcome to the trial of Alec Baldwin, which is no more. In a stunning development in this case, the involuntary manslaughter case against Alec Baldwin has been dismissed with prejudice, meaning it cannot be filed against him again. This case is all over, and in the most surprising fashion that I've seen a case end in the history of my career covering these types of trials. So what happened in court was the judge found that the prosecutors and law enforcement had deliberately not handed over evidence to the defense team. So in a criminal trial, Alec Baldwin, as a defendant, is entitled to get all of the evidence that the prosecutors have against him, that they have accumulated through the course of their investigation of the Rush shooting. And anything that they have that it could be potentially exculpatory, that means could help him in preparing for his defense, evidence that he might see a different way than prosecutors see, you have to hand that over to the defense team well in advance of trial so that they can prepare, look over the evidence themselves, and develop a defense for Alec Baldwin. During this trial, police investigator Marissa Popple took the stand, and this is during the prosecutor's case in chief. So that's when they're laying out their case against Alec Baldwin before he lays out his defense. And during her testimony, she testified that she was specifically instructed by a superior to create a report documenting that police had received ammunition on the set of Rust, but to file it under a different case number than the Rust case. That is mind-boggling because that looks as though they were trying to take evidence that they gathered from the set of Rust and hide it under another case number. Now, to give prosecutors their fair due, they would say that we were putting it in a supplemental report. There's a lot of evidence that you acquire, and you have to organize it. And in the course of organizing all of your evidence, the prosecutor said this piece of evidence belonged in a supplemental report. It's not critical to the case against Alec Baldwin, so we're not going to keep it in the main file. However, Alec Baldwin's defense attorney, Alex Spiro, had a field day with this on cross-examination because when she said she put it under a different case number, he says, "Oh, you buried it." And he knows as a seasoned defense lawyer that that is a big no-no. There's something called Brady obligations that the prosecution have. There's an old case by the name of Brady which said all exculpatory or potentially exculpatory evidence has to be handed over to the defense. And he's saying there's this whole bucket of evidence under a different case number that you never handed over. Or if you did, you tried to bury it in a mysterious way so we couldn't access it and prepare for trial. That is an absolutely stunning development. And it led to a motion in the middle of the case where the prosecutor or where the defense team said this case has to be thrown out. They haven't handed over evidence. We couldn't prepare our defense. This goes to the fundamental fairness of a trial against Alec Baldwin, and you have to throw this out. And the judge agreed. The judge actually said from the bench, this is a wrong that I can't right, which means the only sanction I can give to this case is to throw it out entirely. We can't cure this. We can't say, here's the evidence now, and we'll delay the trial for now and maybe put it off and let Alec Baldwin's team look at the evidence. That's stunning. It is now gone. Remember, the first time they tried to bring charges against Alec Baldwin, they added a gun enhancement statute that wasn't law in effect at the time. Hugely embarrassing. They had to dismiss those charges, but they did so without prejudice. They said, hey, we'll clear all this up. Sorry for the mix-up. They then filed the case again. And now that they filed the case again and it has gone to trial, another screw up by the prosecution team. And now the judge is saying, no more bites at the apple. You got to let this guy live his life. This case is gone for good. I wanted to point out that there was a huge dramatic point in this finding where the judge was handed a manila envelope. She puts on a surgical glove, a blue surgical glove. She slices it open. She's looking at this evidence and she's saying to herself, wow, how was this not handed over? And that's how she came to this ruling of, I'm looking at this evidence, and even if you don't believe it helps Alec Baldwin, you should have turned it over. And because you didn't, I have to throw this case out. My hands are tied. When she's reading the ruling from the bench, Alec Baldwin, starts to get very, very emotional. He breaks down in tears. So does Halyna Baldwin. It's a stunning, stunning turn of events. Everyone thought that this would be submitted to the jury. We would learn whether or not the jurors found him guilty or not of involuntary manslaughter. It'll never get to that. This is over for Alec Baldwin. He can continue his life, do his reality show on TLC, maybe see some documentaries. It's something I've never seen before. And what it means for this podcast is there's not really much left to do. If he had lost, we would have sort of followed appeals. We would have seen if he would have been able to overturn a verdict against him. But now this has been dismissed with prejudice. It really is the end of the saga for Alec Baldwin. and the case has been thrown out.